Welcome to another session of Learn Digital Academy, where the class is actually about branding in digital marketing. You see, marketing is something which everyone always discusses about. But what is branding and how is it related to marketing? So, what comes first, branding or marketing? What is the difference between the two? Is marketing related to sales? Or, is there any difference between marketing and sales? Or is there any difference between branding and marketing? Let us figure it out in this class of digital marketing. We will identify our goals, we will identify what is the difference between branding and marketing, as well as branding in digital marketing. So let's start. First of all, what is branding? The process of marketing where the goal is not to sell the products but create awareness about the name and symbols of a particular company which has various products or product. Now, in a very simple manner, if you have to say it, branding is who you are. Now, if you have visited a Levi's showroom ever, what do you observe over there? You get to see, very tough objects. You must be seeing ropes. It has a kind of a store look. And why do they have it? Probably because, brand the product jeans. It was actually made for the laborers, for the gold miners. Right now, their life was actually tough, revolved around with trolleys, revolved around with a lot of steel chains. Now, jeans was a tough product, and similarly, it is the very same look which or the feel that they try to give you when you enter the showroom, right? That's what you call branding. Now, over here, are you trying to sell something? No. So that is a very thin gap between branding and marketing. In marketing, you try to achieve a goal. And the goal or the objective could be anything of creating an awareness where people come and tend to buy your product. But in branding, you just showcase who you are. Now, branding in digital marketing is all about, as mentioned over here, that 50% consumers follow a particular brand on social media. Without any doubt, it must be you. You must have followed at least one brand over there. At least one brand of your own choice, might be related to shoes or t-shirts, any sports brand or the accessories. You must have followed one. From you talk about to Fast Track to Adidas, one brand must be followed by any individual, and if you have not, then yes, you are rest of the 50%. Now, brand is also defined by your customer's perception of business. So, what is your image in front of your customers? What do they think about you? What is their emotional attachment? How do they value you? A lot of things do depend upon the customer's perception. Now, branding strategies. You must have a strategy to connect along with your customers. Must create some emotional impact with them. Now, if you look at brands like Pidilite, right? The product that they have, Fevicol. What do people remember about it? That it bonds. And they have a very nice logo, or you can say icon for that, where two elephants are tied and they're trying to break up a ball, which is stick by Fevicol. Or if you look at a brand like Levi's. Now, when you enter a Levi's showroom, what do you get to see over there? You get to see chains, ropes. It has a kind of a store look. Now, what kind of feel does it give you? It gives you feel of toughness or roughness. Now, the brand Levi's, the jeans was actually made for laborers. It was made for gold miners because it's very difficult to go inside a mine and with a Bermuda it will be difficult, right? So they made a jeans for them. Now, the similar kind of emotional attachment to stick to your values is branding, right? Now, when you go to the showroom, you get to have the very same feeling of that particular product. Now, you must have a strategy where you can actually connect along with your customers and have an emotional impact upon them so that they prefer your brand more than that. It creates loyalty. Now, the digital strategies. While brand strategy aims at positioning your business, digital strategy determines the tools to get you there. So, what kind of tools do you require? You need to have a good website user experience. First of all, if a person visit your website and it is not functioning properly, doesn't really give a good impression. It must have right amount of chat bots over there. or like a proper landing page experience should be given to the person. You must perform a better SEO for that. So if somebody is looking for your company and still you do not appear, then you really got to work upon your SEO. And of course, the content, the more and more word you spread about your company, the better it is. We have heard enough stories about Rolls Royce or other companies fighting amongst each other. So this content actually existed. That's why we know it, right? And you've got to do the very similar thing for your brand also. And what can be better than social media, where you have crores and crores of people all together and to create awareness. You can utilize email marketing if you are not so good at the cost. It's very much cost effective, and yes, it can work out. Paid advertising, where you can go for pay per click advertisements, and it can actually give you a little bit response about that. Yes, you do exist. Everything starts from a purpose. You must have a purpose, an idea behind your brand. All right. So let us see what we can find in these terms. While creating a brand strategy, one must think of what is going to be your mission, the vision, values, tagline. Picking up the examples of the biggest of the brands, so you talk about Rolls Royce. See, they do have certain conditions that they're never going to sell their vehicle to any ordinary person or who doesn't have a royal background, or they need to have some certain kind of contacts to take up this kind of a vehicle. What is your vision? What do you want to create when you are talking about or building up a product from a particular brand? When you talk about cars like Bugatti Veyron or something, they do have limited editions only. If they make only 10 cars, there are just going to be 10 cars of that kind, nothing more than that. What are your values? When you talk about a company like Infosys, what is their tagline and how did they come actually forward? By the way, talking about the Infosys, a small story behind this. How did the name Infosys actually came into the picture? When Infosys was found, the name of the company was Information Systems. Now, they completed a project for a client, and when they went over there to collect the check, instead of writing the company's name Information Systems, the client felt like just to write the word Infosys. Now, that's how their name actually came forward, and they are going ahead with the very same name, pretty famous currently, isn't it? The taglines. What does the tagline of the Infosys actually say? How they care about their values. How does the Tata products actually tagline themselves? What does any other brand? We talk about Sprite, Seedhi Baat No Bakwas. Everybody has a tagline, and every brand must have one. Now, what kind of campaigns would you run for this? Brand voice guidelines, content strategy by platform. Every platform must have its own separate content strategy. It is very much necessary. The kind of content which you're releasing on Facebook might not work or cannot actually work upon Instagram. The kind of audience over there are in a different mood set. What kind of content do you actually create? The videos based upon the content on your YouTube channel. The digital asset creation process. Now, what are digital assets? Let's talk. The digital assets are your images, the text, which have been transformed into a binary code. And over this content, you have all the right to use it. Now, social media engagement process, whatsoever post that you have done over there, what kind of engagements are you getting? Is it even relevant enough to your product? It should not be like, you have posted something related to cooking and people are talking about traveling over there. But yes, if you can relate your cooking to traveling, so suppose if you are going out for camping, what you can cook over there. So yes, your engagement has to be a little bit relevant, not little bit relevant, but it should make sense. Just getting the likes and shares which cannot be just considered engagement. Although engagement does mean like, click, comment, and share. But when people are commenting over there, you get to know your actual audience. Ongoing SEO auditing and implementation process. Yes, people do recognize you or they think about your brand when your SEO is actually perfectly fine. The paid advertising process must think about this one. You must have a good team for the advertising, analytics reporting process. If your analytics team actually work totally fine, if they read the flow of data on your website, how it is actually going and what can be done better to optimize this and to retain the customer traffic or the user traffic over to your website, it can actually enhance the branding a little bit more. The social media practices, what you need to do, the curated content for SEO and social media content process. Whenever you write a blog, the best part about content is that it is, of course, the most required recipe for your SEO. So best way it can be done, largest amount of keywords, or you talk about the words are always there in a blog from 1600 to 1800 words. You can actually at least mention 10 to 15 keywords over there. Partnership and cross promotional process. Cross promotional process has worked out in many marketing strategies, and so does it will definitely be the very same in your branding process also. Influencer management process and email marketing processes for acquisition, design segmentation, and retargeting. Email is the most cost-effective manner of reaching out to your audience, and influencer marketing is completely not new to Indians, but pretty much hyping these days. Make the best use of it to create brand awareness over here. Branding certainly is not a one man's job. It requires to have a very strong team at the back end. You need to have a project manager. I do understand the concept about a startup, but a well established firm must have a project manager who can look after all of them. So you need to have a good content creator who can write for your blogs, who can write for your social media posts, a designer, a graphic designer, having pretty much good experience to create lucrative images, developer who should be you know completely thorough with all the languages on which your website is built upon. You should be able to participate on like how much PHP text is required or how much other language text is actually required over the website. Advertising manager for your Google ads or for your social media ads. Analysis and reporting people going by the reports of your, let's talk about the analytics from your website, or even the advertisements that you have actually done. And at the last, the quality assurance, which you must know the ground report. What do people actually think about your brand when they're generally talking about you? You got to know what kind of traffic is coming onto your website. Is it even relevant or not? And if it is relevant, how many conversions we are getting over that? And then comes cost per acquisition, which is always more cost effective than the first conversion, right? Then you're grouping different platforms. Create an environment where your emails are pretty much related to what you actually did on your social media, or what kind of user experience people are getting when they visit your website. And if they are not reaching organically, if they are reaching with your advertisements, how much are you going to pay by the every kind of a click that they are going to do over your advertisement? uh, if your SEO has worked out, how well it has actually worked out, and then you can again relate it to your analytics. You must know what you are actually doing, why you're doing it, and what are you doing it for. As I said, branding is all about creating an image with an emotional impact on your customer's mind. Get to know how your business can be projected uniquely to the people, covering up the gaps where nobody, no entrepreneur has ever been able to cover up the gaps. That's how you actually create a good brand for yourself. Maintain a cohesive brand voice across all the platforms. Your presence is actually required everywhere. To pick up an example, just because you're a YouTuber, that does not mean that you should not be active on Instagram. You cannot stick onto one place at all. Your presence is required to be on every platform, especially the social media, of course. Engage in a meaningful way to increase brand reputation. The best way to create brand is to have social media ambassadors for yourself. The influencers who speak on behalf of you. Not just you do not have to pay to them, but they like your brand, and there will be many who will like your brand. You must support them in one or the other means, chat with them, engage with them, and if anything ever goes wrong, or if anything ever required be, if you are coming up with a new product, definitely they are going to talk about you. And the more they talk about you, their followers and the people whosoever engages with them, they have a trust on these people, right? So you must rely upon the social media ambassadors also.